What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to episode 6 of A Podcast with Upside. I'm your host, Jay Felicio. You can find me on Twitter at GManJ. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, the Mario to my Luigi, Mr. Dan Turner. How are you doing tonight, Dan?
Shouldn't I be Luigi if I'm the taller one?
Well, yeah, probably. And you got a little more facial hair, and doesn't like Luigi's got a little bit more, but you know, it is what it is.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah. And with us is a very special guest, somebody who I've looked up to for a very long time, even though he has a poor taste in college basketball teams. Jake Ciely from The Athletic, the senior writer over there. Also, the All-In Kid. How are we doing tonight, Jake?
I'm doing good, except for the fact 6. So you had 5 people before me. What the hell's going on?
Hey, I tried to get you on last year, but you were too busy for us. So
no, yeah. And for everybody out there, I wasn't even going to wear my UNC stuff, and then Jay was like, "Just don't wear your dumb UNC hat." So I doubled down and put my T-shirt on as well.
Yeah,
I had a completely different T-shirt on, and I swapped it out.
I did it to myself. I thought of that literally the second I sent it. I was like, he's going to do it just to spite me now. So yeah, that was
much.
my
I had
fault.
a crossover tee too. I had one where it was Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, but he looks like the little, I forget what the guy is called from Fallout. You know, the little.
Oh, actually, I know what you're talking about.
He's up here somewhere.
Dan, you know what it is?
What's his name? Up there?
No, you can't.
But the little guy that looks like the little thumb up.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Ball
Boy.
Boy. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go. See, so it's your own fault, Jay.
Yeah, that's all right.
I really enjoyed how you waited one sentence to start insulting our guest this time, Jay. It's great.
Well, that's all right. You know, it is. Once I saw the UNC stuff, it's in my nature. So as a Duke fan, I have to do that. Well, what we started last week, and we had a lot of fun with it. So before we dive into the fantasy football stuff, we're gonna ask you 5 random questions that I did not put on the show sheet. Just a little fun, little icebreaker. So the very first one. Favorite video game of all time, not franchise, just single game.
Single game,
not franchise, because I know that would be Zelda. But
no, actually, I don't even know if it would be. I think Mario Kart may be the best franchise, just because
I
still play.
Not the best, your favorite.
I know, so that's what I'm trying to think of. So you know what? It's Mega Man 2. I've actually gone back and played Mega Man 2 a couple times, and I'm one of those people that the only things I usually rewatch are, a few things like Star Wars, but mostly comedies. Like once I've seen a drama, once I've seen a suspense show and stuff like that, I don't rewatch it because I know what happens. Right. Same thing with video games. Once I beat a video game, I don't go back and play it again. I only played the Final Fantasy VII remake because they added to it. So, but Mega Man 2, I'll admit, I have played probably 3 times, and that's pretty much the most I've ever played a game where I've actually completed it.
Yeah, I'm a big Mega Man guy too. If I had to say, Mega Man X would be my favorite, and that is one that I've played through a few times.
X1 or X2? Because X2 is better than
X2 I did like X2, but I like X. Just it's like the bane of it's my childhood. Like I just remember that game, going over my buddy's house, staying up all night, and just
Mega Man.
Yeah,
I have another Mega Man somewhere.
X2 is definitely better than X1, though.
It is, but my favorite is I've got the memories. Well, he's also a UNC fan, so that tells me everything I need to know about your guys' opinion. So
that I have good taste in basketball.
Yeah. All right, next question. For those who don't know, Jake has a dog named Barkley. So Jake, to save Barkley's life, you have to either become a Yankees fan or a Duke fan. Which one would you choose?
Oh, Yankees fan. Easy. Not even a second thought in my mind, because I was boycotting the Mets just like I'm still boycotting the Giants until they got rid of the Wilpons. So I was already disconnected. I kind of lost it. So, and the difference is I'm from North Jersey. I wasn't a UNC fan until we moved down here when I was a kid. And my cousin is the reason I'm a UNC fan. I actually watched UNC and Chicago Bulls with him. I never watched basketball until we moved down here. So that's easier to separate myself from. It's like, at least I could go with the Yankees. My brother-in-law, my sister are Yankees fans, so I have ties to it. That would be the easier way to go, for sure. There's no way on earth I would ever root for Duke.
Okay, I'm used to that. So, well, have you had the Popeyes chicken sandwich by any chance? That's not the question. Okay, so the question that starts fights and ends friendships: Chick-fil-A sandwich or Popeyes sandwich?
Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich by.
That's the correct answer.
The Popeyes chicken sandwich is just their chicken on bread.
I haven't had it yet, so I can't say.
It is.
So.
That's all it is, really.
That's really all it is. Like,
well,
and
I don't understand why people are going nuts for it. Then
neither I. You know what? I'll go buy you a potato roll and you put some Popeyes chicken on it. And there you go. I just made the sandwich. Like look, kudos to them for actually having a sandwich because they never did, and that was dumb for them to never have one. But it's not any different. Like if they would have changed the chicken, added like throwing pickles on the bun, which I don't ever get the pickles at Chick-fil-A.
See, I get extra pickles. You got to get pickles.
No. That's the pickles are stupid for me on a chicken sandwich anyway.
They are,
especially if you get the spicy chicken sandwich. So
I don't like how much you two are agreeing. I really don't like this.
And I was disappointed in Zaxby's too. Zaxby's is like
I had that yesterday.
7,000 sauces. That's the real. Yeah. That's the only difference there.
It was not that good. I had it yesterday. I was very disappointed. And like it was okay, but it wasn't in the chicken sandwich wars.
No,
like
and here's my other problem, real quick, with Popeyes overall. Is no matter if it's like the Cajun seasoning or the buffalo seasoning or the Bayou seasoning or like whatever they're calling, it all tastes the damn same. Like I don't know if they really like just have one seasoning and they're tricking us, but I've never tasted it and be like, oh, this is completely different.
It's all a trick. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
My favorite thing of Popeyes is the sweet heat sauce. That sauce is fantastic. Other than that, give me Chick-fil-A all day.
Sweet, and you made me think of sweet tea from Chick-fil-A. That's
where it's at. And the what is it? The sriracha sauce from Chick-fil-A. That's where it's at right there.
Yeah, I've never had that. I have to get that next time I'm there.
That's fantastic.
Because I'm just like, a spicy chicken sandwich. Although they came out with the spicy grilled chicken now. Finally,
I have not had that yet.
Here for everybody out there, get the spicy grilled chicken, cut it up into pieces, and get the mac bowl and put it in there. Boom. Oof. Done.
That I swear that mac and cheese is from the gods. It's just amazing. Oh my goodness. Have you had it, Dan?
I don't like mac and cheese. Remember?
What?
That's right. We've had some fights about this. You must not have actually had real mac and cheese other than
I mean, if someone wants to come
out of the blue box or something like that. When we go to the expo in
Canada, do you like poutine or something? Like
he's an Eagles fan, so that's
when I went to Canada, the poutine was actually pretty good. So I don't know why. I've tried having it. I just don't like it.
You got to come visit me in the South and get you some real mac and cheese.
All right.
Then you'll know.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A too. Chick-fil-A does have fantastic mac and cheese. All right, best Rick and Morty character.
You know what? I gotta say Mr. Meeseeks, because that's technically like a billion characters.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think like the one off, like you could go with the 8 billion iterations of Rick and Morty.
Right. Like that's the easy answer. Yeah. That's like picking The Office and saying your favorite character is Michael Scott. Like, come on. Like, you got to have somebody else.
Like the first one that came to mind was actually Evil Morty, because we still haven't figured out what the hell his plan is. Like, we still don't know what's going on. But the Meeseeks one, Mr. Meeseeks, was the great. And there you go. And the best part about it is they were doing a panel with the voice of his dad, Morty's dad. Why am I having a brain fart all of a sudden? Like, I can't think of his dad's name, and I can't think of
what's his name from SNL. Chris Parnell.
Yeah, Chris Parnell. Thank you. So they were doing one, and he answered my question. I asked him if he had one ability, like if he could ask Mr. Meeseeks to do one thing for him, what would he do? And he actually read my question. I don't remember what his answer was, though.
I felt like there was supposed to be like some big ending to that story.
No, it would have been much better if I actually remembered his answer. But yeah, that was a really terrible ending to the story.
And you are overruled in the chat, Dan. Both Jeff and Gladys all say mac and cheese is fantastic. So you're wrong.
There you go.
I understand. Mac and cheese is very popular. I'm not blind to the fact that
Well, you say poutine and Marty shows up. What a surprise! All of a sudden. I don't know. I've not had it. I've heard good things, but I don't know the gravy with the fries. Yeah, I haven't had it yet.
I can't do soggy fries. No. So, yeah,
I'm not a big fan of cheese fries or anything like that.
If anybody comes visit me in Virginia Beach, I will take you to Dirty Buffalo, which they're from Buffalo. They're actually Buffalo Bills fans and Buffalo family, but they have a plate. It's called a dirty plate, which is on fries, but they crisp their fries so much that they put, so it's fries, mac and cheese, and then the chicken with the sauce of your choice. And they have like 25, 30 sauces. So it's that plate, and it's so delicious, and the fries don't get soggy. And that's why I don't like poutine.
Okay. All right, Marty,
Come
you're gonna
visit me in Virginia Beach.
There you go. That sounds good.
I'll make a trip down.
All right, last one before we dive into some fantasy stuff. If you could take one player from each division rival and put him on the Giants, who would it be?
So all within the division?
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, no question. That's super easy.
I completely
need a wide
agree.
receiver. So then we would go with. So I don't want to go with the Cowboys again. So I'll go with the best fit, Amari Cooper, even though I would rather have CeeDee Lamb, but fit-wise because they have Shepard and Slayton. And then defensively, Chase Young.
Chase Young's. I tell Dan all the time. We had an argument with this guy that is in Go for Two with us. That what's that?
Winning that game ruined everything, and they could have had Chase Young.
Yeah, that the Giants should have. You need to win the game. You need to pull for your team to win all their games. No, I would much rather the Giants lost both of those games to the Redskins and we get Chase Young. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs, so we didn't wind up with the 19th pick versus the 11th.
I feel terrible for you guys, not having that chance to draft Chase. Oh, wait, you did have that chance to draft Chase.
Shut up, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Hey, the Giants, if anybody wants to go back and check this year, they were on pace to be able to replace Daniel Jones with Trevor Lawrence until they dicked that up with a 4-game win streak.
Yeah, that sure did a lot for the team. I'm so glad we won those games.
Yeah,
it sounds like you're on our side of things with that argument. So.
Oh, I told you they're banned. They're banned from my fanmanship until Gettleman's gone.
I told Dan that. He's like,
fortunately, one more year.
Fan.
It's over. It's over this year.
Well, that's because you were yelling at me all year that Gettleman was going to be fired, and I told you he wasn't going to be. And lo and behold, he hasn't been fired.
Because they went on that stupid 4-game winning streak. They gave them the Maras just enough that maybe he is turning around. No, it's Dave Gettleman. He's not.
Is that a full size helmet behind you, or is it a mini helmet?
Yeah, it's a full size.
Oh yeah, my full size is up here, hidden, so you can't see it because it's beyond. Like the only reason they have Lawrence Taylor is because he has nothing to do with the current Giants.
I've got Lawrence Taylor over there too, a little more McFarlane figure. But
yeah,
now that we're 13 minutes in, I guess we could finally dive into some fantasy football talk instead of some chicken and mac and cheese. But gotta have a little fun with it too. Here we go. Our guy Jeff Bell. We'll take your take on this.
Honestly, anybody but Daniel Jones.
Well, he's a Justin Fields truther and thinks that Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. What are your thoughts?
Nah, he's not that far. And I'm a Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields. I already said that Justin Fields in fantasy is going to be a top 10 next year. But the problem with Justin Fields is still his decision making and progression through his reads are still going to hold him back passing wise. He can certainly get better. For all the people out there that want to write a book on somebody after a handful of games where he came in the middle of the season is stupid. And now they can design the entire offense around him. But I kind of cross in between Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray because he's got the Lamar Jackson inefficiencies when he took over as a thrower, but he's better than that overall. Like, so where Lamar Jackson took his step forward, there's still concerns that this might be it for him as a passer. Justin Fields can get close, but I wouldn't put him on quite on Kyler Murray's level. So that's what I'm saying. Is like he's got almost Kyler Murray's passing, but then he has almost Lamar Jackson's rushing upside. So he's kind of right in between the two for me, which obviously would sound like I'm a fan of Justin Fields.
Right? Yeah, that's not like saying just because you say that Justin Fields isn't good as Trevor Lawrence doesn't mean you don't like Justin Fields. But
right,
man,
exactly.
You pick one of.
That with Jeff saying worst takes and the very next thing he says is Justin Fields, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of it or not, Jake, but
Trevor,
go ahead.
I was gonna say Trevor Lawrence. I hate the term, and I think you know this. I hate the term generational prospect.
I already knew what you were going to say as soon as you said
it. But the thing is, so when Saquon Barkley was coming out, it's like sometimes it's true, and sometimes occasionally, but generational to me is one in like a 10-year span. Right. Saquon Barkley was like one in a 10-year span, and there's been another running back or two, but Trevor Lawrence is legitimately, it's not hyperbole to say, the best prospect since Andrew Luck, since Peyton Manning before him. If Trevor Lawrence fails, it's because the Jaguars failed him. That's what it comes down to. And that's why I'll tell you, this is how much I believe. All that salary cap space, all the young talent they have, if they add some free agents, draft Trevor Lawrence, and finish out their draft, by the way, with a lot of still good draft picks after Trevor Lawrence, I put in a $20 bet on the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl.
Next year?
I'm just saying, like, obviously it's $20, so I'm not going crazy. But when Roethlisberger did it with the Steelers, crazier things have happened.
Oh, man. Justin Fields truthers' heads would explode if that happened next year. it would end fantasy Twitter as we know it, to be honest with you. Which I'd be fine with. I'm a huge LaVisca Chenault fan, so yeah.
Until Gettleman's gone, go Jaguars. That's what I should have got my Beowulf jersey.
Yeah, you should have. No, you got at least one more season out of it after, he got benched as soon as you got it, right?
Yeah, I got to put it up for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
That's not too bad. But yeah, Jeff Hasley made my Twitter avatar, and I asked him to make it the Jaguars colors because I got a picture of LaVisca Chenault as my header. He made a joke one and said I got to change my name to Jaguar J. So maybe I'll do that until Gettleman's gone and just pull for the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. And we got a question from the chat. Gerson wants to know, would you take Kyle Pitts in a Dynasty 16 team, 1 QB PPR league top 3 in the rookie draft?
No. I wouldn't go that far unless you're just blessed with unbelievable talent down your roster. And if that's the case, just trade back. That's really what it comes down to. At 3, no. Kyle Pitts, we're going to play this game again, generational talent. Kyle Pitts has the upside to be the next Kelsey. There's no question about it. Like Kelsey, Kittle, put him in that group. Those two, not, Mark Andrews. No, better than that. Still, how many times have we said that, especially a tight end? And there's a couple of things here. He might not land on a team that might even give, what if the Giants are stupid and take him? And I say stupid because
the Giants are stupid.
Yeah. He should replace Ingram, but that's not their need right now. Honestly, and that's why I don't think Gettleman's taking him, because Gettleman's got 1 year. This is it. He's potentially fired. He needs to win now. Pitts is not your need. They have offensive line issues, defensive issues, wide receiver issues. So they need
a lot of issues.
They have another need besides doubling down at tight end. But I say that, what if the Giants just surprise us and Gettleman plays the best player on our board game and he does go to the Giants? Well, now he's battling with Ingram for touches, so that your first year is going to be capped. First year is always a tough thing for a tight end as general, although I do think he could find his way into the top 10. I say all that to say is top 3, talent-wise, sure, but you could trade back or take him at 5 or 6 or whatever. I say middle of the first round.
I think that's fair. I'd go. I'm just like you. I'm running back heavy, so I would go with whatever best running back is left there. If Harris and ETN go, it'd be tough between Chase and you think Waddle over Chase?
It depends on who goes first. I have a feeling Waddle's going to creep up and have a better landing spot. Chase could go first in the draft.
Waddle, which I would be very.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's I think Waddle's landing spot might end up being better than Chase, even though Chase goes before him, because you got to look at the draft order. So it depends. Obviously, a lot's going to land, but you could say Chase, you could say Waddle, you could say 2 or 3 other names. Look, nobody was saying Justin Jefferson was going to be the best last year, but it's landing spot, and he walked in as the number 2 wide receiver.
Absolutely. Dan, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think you guys mostly said it all. I think Pitts, I'm taking 105 and after that, I'm not giving up on Harris, ETN, and Chase in the top 3.
Yeah, I think you said it best. Absolutely. Well, we will finally jump into the NFC East and some fantasy relevant questions for each team. We're going to start with the division champion Washington football team. And Jake, we'll go to you first on this. Do you think Antonio Gibson can finish as a top 10 running back this year?
No, just because of usage. I still think that if you look at this team from a whole, you have the question of quarterback, but whatever happens there, I said that Corey Davis would be a perfect fit in free agency for them. And I think you're looking at this team too. And Antonio Gibson, the talk was, well, is he going to be able to pass catch? Is he going to be able to do this? Is he going to be able to do that? And kind of went the exact opposite. Is so good of what he thought he was going to be. So the touchdowns buoyed his value a lot. That's a lot. If he has 300 touches next year, sure, then maybe those touchdowns don't seem so insane to repeat. But that touchdown ratio for this team, assuming they're going to address the wide receiver position to put somebody alongside Terry McLaurin, I assume that they're not just going to let Antonio Gibson sit out there and get 20 touches every single week. And that's really what it comes down to. I think he settles into a 15 touch per week, which is fine, which puts him as RB 15, 16 range, somewhere right. He's a high-end RB2. Would love to have him on my team in the 3rd round. But I just think his team situation and his use, and that's why I say situation. I think his use is what's going to cap his upside.
Yep, and J.D. McKissick's still there, so he's going to come in for some passing work. He's going to take the catches away. And Alex Smith is gone, so check down Charlie. There's not going to be quite as many passes going to the running back position. Imagine if they're able to pull off the trade for Deshaun Watson. He traditionally doesn't throw to the quarterback. Yeah, he's going to wind up in Carolina. That's my prediction. But it all depends on whatever quarterback winds up there too. So there's a lot of question marks. Dan?
I agree with Jake. I just don't see him repeating that kind of that touchdown rate with the amount of usage he's going to get. And while he still may get some more targets in the passing game, I don't think there'll be enough there with McKissick still there to make up for him probably going down in the touchdowns category.
I don't know why we didn't have our background up there for a little bit. I just noticed that, but I fixed that. All right. And next up, does Terry McLaurin make the jump into wide receiver 1 territory? And Dan, we'll start with you on this one.
I think he has the potential to do so. I think he was pretty close to being like the number 20 wide receiver. I think he was 21.
Yep. He was points per game. He was 20 with 14.9.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like you're talking some astronomical leap into wide receiver 1 territory. It's only like 8 or so spots. So I think depending on who's the quarterback, then it definitely is possible that he could jump into that kind of territory this coming year.
Yeah, all he would have to do is Tyler Lockett was wide receiver 12 with 16.6 points. So if he could average less than 2 more points a game, he would jump into that wide receiver 1 back in
if
wide
you get a quarterback
1.
that throws less checkdowns than Alex Smith does,
It can't get worse at quarterback for
right, exactly. So
you're the football team. So
you're looking at improved down the field, targets, then that should help him.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
I say no. Only because I did my way too early rankings. He just missed. I mean, I have him at 14 or I think 13 or 14, somewhere around there. And if I did another pass at it, probably would be there, even potentially a little bit lower. But it really comes down to, I don't think Washington's going into next year not addressing the wide receiver position. Now, if they don't, and I'm not even like a Zach Wilson fan, or, I think he's been, I mean, I am a fan. I think he's been overrated. Mac Jones has his own, I'm saying this, if they draft a quarterback in the first round and they don't address the wide receiver position and it's Logan Thomas and Terry McLaurin, then honestly, I think they could. Or if they brought in Deshaun Watson, which I don't think is happening, but if they brought in Deshaun Watson and they don't address the wide receiver position and they try to make it work with Kelvin Harmon, who's been hurt twice now, and Antonio Gandy-Golden, and the Sims, Cam, and Steven, if they just go down that road, then yes, because now we're talking about Allen Robinson type target percentage for the entire year, 25%. The problem is, like I said, you add a Corey Davis or Marvin Jones or somebody like that, which I think both would be terrific fits for this offense. And it's just the target volume is my concern. So again, because I don't think Deshaun Watson's happening. And I think Terry McLaurin, and people can go back and look, I was one of the highest people on Terry McLaurin. And I thought a connection with him and Dwayne Haskins would be great for them. But I always said he'd be great as a 1B, kind of like when Anquan Bolden was running as like a 1B, and then he went on his own and didn't really do as good because he needs that other 1 with him. Like some wide receivers are a 2 that need a definitive alpha 1. He needs somebody that's just almost as good as him, and I think he's better over the middle of the field. And again, the target volume is what my concern is.
I definitely agree with you on that. And Mike Hicks says, yeah, I could see that happening. I hope not for Washington football team.
I've been saying that for a few weeks. I mean, look who the coach is. But I will say one thing, and to go to that, I don't think Cam would be the death knell that everybody's making it out to be, because I do believe him when he says that COVID really hurt his season for 2 reasons. And this isn't like a name drop, but it's relevant to what he said. I had Brian McFadden on my podcast, and he called Antonio Brown not showing up production-wise until December. And he said Rob Gronkowski wasn't going to show up until the middle of the season. So because no matter how good and how talented the player is, it takes time to get into game shape for the NFL. No preseason killed rookies. No preseason killed a lot of players who were trying to come back or switch teams. And so hearing Brian McFadden say that, and then Cam Newton saying that the COVID hurt him health-wise, but then also trying to learn a new playbook that's a Bill Belichick scheme, I kind of believe him. Now, I don't think he's going to go out there and throw 30 touchdowns on a new team, but I don't think Cam Newton's toast.
Yeah, well, and the COVID side of things, I can speak from experience. I had it in January, and I'm still exhausted. Like, I've got no symptoms other than that, but I feel like I could sleep all day. So that has a lot to do with it too, if it's lingering with them. So I can definitely see that being the case. Dan, what do you think about Cam Newton potentially in Washington?
I think that he can do well. I think that with especially in your case with COVID, people that have COVID and recover, and then you have to realize, these are like highly trained athletes that are, running into 350-pound guys for fun. So it's a lot different than than like the average Joe guy. So we really don't know how much COVID affects people after they've had it. So to sit there and say that Cam is toast with him going back with Rivera and assistant that he knows, I think he could do decent there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happen. Moving on to tight end position, Logan Thomas. He had surprised everybody and had a real good stretch down the end of the season. He had more than 10 points in 9 out of the last 11 games, finished with 6 straight games of double-digit points. You think he is a top 5 option at the tight end position, Jake?
Not top 5. I would have given you, if you would have said tight end 1 and even push the top 10, yes. I actually had him just inside the top 10 initially before free agency and the draft and stuff like that. I think that's still doable. Again, I'm going to go back to the Terry McLaurin thing. A lot's going to depend on who they add, if anybody, what this team looks like for next year, who the quarterback is. You get in anybody like, Trey Lance. Good God, please no. For Washington fans, I am not. That's the one. I am not a Trey Lance guy. Like, this is just. He is, look how toolsy he is. Yeah, we've done this a billion times with quarterbacks and wide receivers and players in general. Hey, Dorgrone Beckham, how did he work out wide receiver? How did Blaine Gabbert work out because he was 6'5" and all athletic and super great and all that type of, or how about
Super Bowl champion Blaine Gabbert? Don't forget that.
Super Bowl champion Blaine Gabbert. I was trying to think the one that was in that same draft starts with a J. Oh, crap. He was rollout man. That's all he was. He was good on rollouts and sucked on everything else. But anyway, Trey Lance, obviously, I'm not a fan of Trey Lance. Sorry,
we couldn't tell by any means.
How do you really feel, Jake? We can't tell.
So if he goes to Washington football, honestly, if he goes to the Washington football team, that wouldn't be bad for Logan Thomas, just because that would be one area that he could do well with, is throwing to Logan Thomas and Terry McLaurin. So that wouldn't be the end of the world for him. But Logan Thomas, I still think he's a tight end 1. Top 5 is too much. If he ends up going around that 5, 6, 7 range, that's usually the tight ends I leave alone anyway. That range seems to flop almost every single year.
Yep. Yeah. It's the ones that every year we hear, tight end's so deep, you can get these guys at 6, 7, 8, and then they fall flat on their face. So I wouldn't mind him as my starting tight end if you don't get one of the top 3, but yeah, I think tight end 5 would be kind of hard to push. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I have him like just outside. I have him like probably like 7, 8. I think that top 5 is a little too high. I think he had a great end of last year, but just all about consistency. And again, going back to the quarterback situation, what kind of quarterback he's going to have is going to depend on what kind of targets he gets.
No, absolutely. Well, we will move on. We do have one quick question in the chat. Who's the best team in the East, the Cowboys or Washington? So I've got a feeling that's our guy Kyle trolling us. I will say I do think the Cowboys are probably even with the terrible defense with Dak back, I would pick them as the best team in the NFC East.
I want to see how the offseason plays out. I think Washington's safer and has less holes to fill or fewer holes to fill. But the big one is that quarterback. The problem too is the Cowboys defense is just not only not good, they have free agents that they need to bring. Yeah. So, and they just signed Dak. My concern to Dallas is that they can't fix their issues where Washington can. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, they got so much money tied up in Zeke and Dak and Amari Cooper and even Blake Jarwin. They've got signed for a decent.
I wouldn't rule out Philadelphia. I don't know why everybody's tossing them aside.
Don't say that to him. I don't want to hear his mouth.
It's true.
No, I do.
Everything that could possibly go wrong with the Eagles went wrong. Like health-wise, players dropping off a cliff production-wise, and they can make moves, and they have Hurts. Again, their entire offense is going to be around Hurts next year. Everybody's we're going to talk about that. I'll save it for we're going to talk about the Eagles.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the Giants. Do you have any concern for Barkley returning? Not your dog, Saquon Barkley, returning from injury and having is Barkley around there?
Yeah, she's right there. She's down on the side.
She must maybe
she's not even. No, when I looked over, she looked at me like I was going to look at her. If she gets finished with her chip, I'll see if she'll come over here.
All right. Yeah, my bulldog Patty came on a stream with me last Friday. She just decided to barge in the room, and as a bulldog, she snores standing up, wide awake. So she decided she was going to hop in. Yeah, but Saquon Barkley, you think he has any issues coming back from injury?
No, from what we've heard, but I'm not going to say there's a 0 chance that something doesn't happen, when he's not the same Saquon Barkley. But everything sounds good as of today. You know, inside injuries makes it sound pretty doable for what he's coming back from for his training. For also, you got to remember how early it was. He's going to have a lot of layoff time to get back and healthy. So if Beckham can come back and be fine, you know, I would say Saquon Barkley, but you know, I'm happily going to take him inside the top 4 running backs again next year.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where would you take him?
Really answers the question. I would take him 3rd. I would. You know, I would risk the upside of it because 2 years ago, was it 2 years or 3 years now? Whatever it was. No, stupid baseball's got my brain mush. But Saquon was actually averaging more fantasy points per game than Christian McCaffrey. So
yeah, that was 2 years.
3 years. Well, 3 years.
It's rookie year?
Whatever. It's 3 years, but 2 years. Yeah. So anyway, he's the one person. If you're talking about it, you know, because if Drew Brees doesn't retire, which he never said he did, only Jay Glazer reported it,
right?
And he's running sleds.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if I retired,
right,
I'm not running sleds. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, I would say Drew Brees back with Kamara would put Kamara into this discussion. But what I'm saying is, outside of Kamara, Barkley's the one who can unseat Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got a lot less miles on his legs than Christian McCaffrey does. That's what I'm worried with Christian McCaffrey is his workload. You know, the way that Carolina's used him the past couple of years, if they pull back on him a little bit, he might not be able to live up to that 101 spot. But that's another story for another day. But Dan, what about you?
Watson.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen. I've said it all along. We had Jeff
Watson's
Astley
going
on.
Somewhere.
Yeah, he's definitely. There's no way he's staying there, especially with the report today. They're slightly opening the door. Yeah, there's no way. But Dan, what do you think on Saquon Barkley? You have any concerns?
A little. I mean, I was as someone who drafted Barkley number 2 in my home league and had him for about 25 snaps.
Yeah, he screwed me in my home league too, so I feel your pain.
I think Jacob made a good point. The fact that it was so early in the season and then he had all this time to recover and get back in shape, I think mitigates a lot of the risk for me. If more so if it had been somewhere like November, December. The only thing though is the Giants are probably going to run him hard again because he's pretty much he is the best piece of their offense. So I'm not sure.
He is the offense.
Yes, yeah.
Let's be honest.
It'll be interesting to see how that injury holds up with that kind of usage going into next year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, he's definitely. That's why I'm not that afraid to take him so high, is because we know he's going to be the centerpiece of the offense.
The team was crap last year, and Wayne Gallman was putting up numbers. Like people wanted Wayne Gallman. And if Wayne Gallman can do that, even with the loss of Zietler and
I saw that they're trying to restructure Soldiers' contract. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But I saw that today.
Just go away.
He should. I wish he would just retire because honestly, I'd rather put that money elsewhere. But that's here nor there. Speaking of the draft, if the Giants get a legitimate wide receiver 1, do you have any interest fantasy wise in Daniel Jones? So there you go. That's Jake's answer.
No, like Daniel, what's legitimate interest as my QB2?
So, Superflex league.
Oh yeah, Superflex, no question. I was gonna say as my QB2 if my first one is like Tom Brady with not a lot of upside unless he throws a ton of touchdowns. Like that's kind of like a non-mobile QB1 or even a low rushing QB1, then I'll chase the upside with the second quarterback. And the thing about Daniel Jones, the reason he was in the QB1 discussion this year, if people remember in drafts, he was going around QB 11, 12, 13 is because he could run for 400 or 500 yards. But
if he doesn't trip while he's running, that's
if he doesn't make one of the best, whoever did that GIF, by the way, was the best thing ever. The one where he trips as the winning margin, the likelihood or whatever it was, the winning percentage, he trips and it drops all the way down.
You see the one they did the Yodel guy from what's it called? The Price is Right.
Oh, for Price is Right. No, I didn't see that one.
I got to see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. It's fantastic. They got the music and then the crash as he's falling. It's fantastic.
But see, that's great. I think that Daniel Jones is the rushing side. So if he could get to 4,000 passing yards and 25 passing touchdowns, the 400 to 500 rushing yards and 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns, we'll put him in the QB1 fringy discussion. So yeah, that's why. But he would be as your QB2 when you're just shooting for the upside of finding that quarterback this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan,
like Tannehill, I'd pair him with Tannehill. There's another one.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Somebody a solid QB1 who really doesn't have a lot of upside. Right, absolutely. And if they were able to sign Kenny G, Dan, we'll start with you on that. Change anything for you?
Nope. They have no money.
Maybe we'll cut Ingram and save like another $6,000. But
no,
they're not going to. I would rather them draft a wide receiver, to be honest with you. But
and
knowing Gettleman will.
I mean, they do need an alpha. There's no question about it. But the Kenny G, I said Chris Godwin, if he made free agency, would be a nice pipe dream, but it's not. They don't have the money. They're not going to get into that bidding war. It's just they don't. They had to release Zietler, and they have offensive line issues. Nice. I still look at this roster, and I don't know how the hell Dave Gettleman created the salary cap issue, because you look up and down it, and it's like, where is all the money? Where did it all go?
It's Dave Gettleman. That's all you need to know. Dan, what about you? Any thoughts on Daniel Jones?
I will be passing on Daniel Jones in every league. I don't like him. I don't. There are much better options. No, there isn't. It has nothing to do with him being like a Giants quarterback. I just don't.
Is it because he was a Duke quarterback? Is that what it is?
I was going to say, you're telling me there's the QB 18 on the board and you're not going to take him for the hell of the upside?
No, I just find more fun quarterbacks to root for that I could take for the upside.
Hey, Barkley. Sorry that I had to put you in that question, Barkley. I know that we wouldn't risk your life for real, but I will say, I wouldn't mind Daniel Jones as an upside play. I'd really prefer him more as a QB3 in Superflex. I don't think I'd be comfortable with him as my QB2. But with that, like you said, any quarterback that's got that rushing floor, if he's able to cut down on the turnovers, he still does have some upside, even though it's not what we once thought it was. And I've said this all along with it. Yeah.
So average 1 a game instead of 13.
Jeez. I didn't mind taking Daniel Jones. I didn't like how high. I didn't like how high we took him. We could have traded back and got him, but.
Oh, there's 100%. But I mocked him there in the draft as a joke, being like, "Watch, Gettleman's not even going to trade back. He's going to take him with the first pick too." And I ended up being right.
I'll never forget. You think as a Duke fan, I would be excited that the Giants took a Duke quarterback, but not so much. Do you guys think that there is any hope for Evan Ingram? And Jake, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, but so you know who I would compare him to, because there's hope, is Eric Ebron. Because for the longest time, Eric Ebron was all he does is drop balls. All he does is drop balls, blah, blah, blah. And it was true to a degree. It wasn't as bad as the perception was. It's just that a lot of his drops came at the worst time. It's the same thing as the running back for the Bears, Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard wasn't that bad. It's just we all remember it when he was at the 3-yard line and could have scored the touchdown. Like, it always came at the worst time, and that's why it seems so bad. So I say that because Evan Ingram's drop rate is close to Kittle's. Nobody's talking about Kittle's drop rate, but again, I'm not giving a pass on Ingram. He needs to get better, but he's still a matchup problem. His biggest issue isn't even so much the drops. It's just staying healthy. That's his biggest problem. So there's still hope, but at this point, health, I mean, maybe if they add an alpha wide receiver and they doesn't have to put so much pressure on himself and just takes it easier, but he might be in his own head right now. He might get into Chuck Knobloch disease. He's just got his own yips.
Don't say that name. My goodness, I can see it right now. Him trying to throw to first base. Oh God, and standing there like this in the World Series game. I'll never forget that. These young bucks probably have no idea what we're talking about. It seems like everybody's like 20 and younger these days. That's in the fantasy community. Don't even know what Oregon Trail is and stuff like that. But
I'm 20 something.
Yeah.
1.5.
Devonta Smith to the Giants. Any thoughts on that?
No, that's not a good fit. That's another. You're replicating Sterling Shepard. Well, you're not. Obviously, I would take Devonta Smith over Sterling Shepard, but I'm saying they need. Darius Slayton is not a pure 9-route guy, but he's the deep threat. Sterling Shepard is the slot guy. They need more. They need a Waddle. They don't need a Smith. It's just for fit. And you have Ingram over the middle of the field too. You don't want. Daniel Jones, I will say this, coming out of college, I said he can throw the short to intermediate routes. He struggles with the deep ball. And that's why I don't think Slayton was going to replicate what he did as a rookie, because there's a lot of his on touchdowns. And I don't still think there was a lot of connection with Daniel Jones, but they do need somebody who can do all of it. Obviously, if you added, like, say Henry Ruggs was in this draft, he wouldn't be a good fit either, because now you're saying just go deep and Daniel Jones isn't great at that. They need a complete alpha potential number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, and one of Slayton's big games was Eli Manning's goodbye where he just chucked up some dead ducks and he came down with it and took it to the house. Yeah. I'm glad he deserved it. We'll get on the Eli Manning subject another day because me and Dan usually get into that about the Hall of Fame case, but I'm not going there tonight. We're running low on time. But Dan, what do you think about Devonta Smith on the Giants? Any interest there?
Yeah, absolutely. Put him there.
Yeah, okay. That tells me everything I need to know. We will roll on to Dan's team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And we will start with some guy named Jalen Hurts. Now, Jake, normally we call this the name game, but in honor of how I first started listening to you on FNTSY and on Target, I have a question for you. When we have a guy that we want to compare to others around the same area, sort of sequential, is there something that we do in that kind of scenario?
I don't know. I think so. Hold on. I don't know. What you want to ask me again one more time? Like, is there something?
So when we have a guy that we want to compare to people around the same ADP, same skill level, is there something that we do?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. We make a list.
There we go. There it is. I told Dan we were going to hit that, and there's the Chris Jericho Funko. Fantastic. I hope Marty's in here too for that.
He's holding the list of Jericho right here.
Love Jericho. Fantastic. Love him.
He was the perfect heel. I haven't watched much AEW though. I will say I need to try to catch up.
You're missing out. You're missing out on heel fat Jericho, but he's still great.
He is fat, boy. I tell you what, he looks like me if I would try to put on some leather pants like that. That thing is just rolling over the end of it. But hey, more power to him. But we will play a name game. We will make a list with Jalen Hurts. Since it's the Eagles, Dan, I will defer to you first on each of these.
Right.
Hurts or Kirk Cousins?
Hurts.
Jake?
Yep.
Yeah, clean sweep on that. Hurts or Matthew Stafford? Dan?
Stafford.
Hurts.
I'm going to go Stafford. I got my bold call so far this year. I know there's a lot to go, but I think Stafford in the Rams offense is going to be a top 5 fantasy QB next year. So I'm going to stick with that for now. Hurts or Tom Brady, Dan?
Hurts.
Jake?
Hurts.
Yeah, I'm going Hurts in that scenario as well. Hurts or Joe Burrow? Dan?
Hurts.
Burrow.
I came up with the question and I can't decide. Yeah, I think I would go with Hurts just for the rushing upside. I like that floor, especially if Philadelphia adds a wide receiver at 6, it's definitely Hurts. If not, I might have a little pause. But Hurts or Ryan Tannehill? Dan?
Hurts.
Hurts.
Yep, Hurts.
One spot in front of Tannehill.
Hurts or Aaron Rodgers? Good.
You also could have checked the link. You could have done that.
Oh, yeah, I should have checked the link. I got to get that in there too.
Aaron Rodgers. I know you're going to Dan first, but Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's fine.
Chill out on Hurts. If you don't say Hurts.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. And then the last one, Hurts or Justin Herbert? Dan?
Justin Herbert.
You feel like...
I have Herbert at 10. I have Hurts at 12. And I'll admit, I don't miss largely very often, but I thought that Herbert, if starting as a rookie, was going to be catastrophic as a rookie. I'll admit it. I thought he would be somebody that would go out there and throw 17 touchdowns and 20 interceptions just from his decision making in college. And the fact that his play declined, and I know some people will say who he's playing with, but he was playing with some talent every single year. It's just he didn't look like he grew in college, and kudos to the Chargers for getting what they got out of him. I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, nobody expected the way that he was going to get into, Tyrod Taylor getting punctured in the lung with a needle. That was a little interesting to say the least. But so it looks like we're all in agreement that Hurts is somebody that we're targeting next year. I think he's in the mold, obviously in the mold of Lamar Jackson. Anytime you can get a rushing quarterback, you get that nice safe floor. And Jake, this is why I was so big on Lamar Jackson a few years ago. You said it perfect. All he has to be is average with passing production, and he jumps into that top tier status. So I'm definitely going to get Hurts.
Run for 700 plus easy.
Yeah, it's going to be. Now the thing is where people take him. Lamar Jackson was such a value because he was going so late. If the helium starts and his ADP starts going up, then you got to be careful. But I definitely still like Hurts next year.
Love him.
Dan,
Hurts
obviously
season.
you love him.
Hurts season.
And with Jalen Hurts, do you think that it changes Miles Sanders' value at all next year, Jake?
No, I think the biggest thing for Miles Sanders is just staying healthy through the season and understanding that Miles Sanders is actually very similar to Antonio Gibson in this division. Miles Sanders needs to settle into that 15 to 20 touch range. And everybody just needs to realize he's not 20 every single week, or you're going to get Miles Sanders killed. There's not a lot of running backs just in general. You should want touching the ball 20 times a game. You know, the McCaffrey's, Barkley's, Cooks of the world are a rarity for a reason, you know, Zeke on top of it. And, you know, so I say Sanders can just stay healthy, you know, have that offensive line rebound. And I don't think Hurts is going to be the impact. He can't, put it this way though, he can't hurt it. He can only be positive because like Lamar Jackson, you're going to add that threat to that backfield.
Yep, and there's some talk that since he's a running quarterback, he might take away some goal line touches from Miles Sanders. But I think his value is about the same too. He was able to.
Look what Lamar Jackson is doing for the Ravens. The
right.
threat of him taking off, they'll be RPOing people to death next year.
Exactly, and the offense was such a disaster last year. Even if he does take away some touchdowns, just the more productive offense is going to do wonders.
Ask Dan the question. Barkley's got to pay.
All right, Dan, what's up on you with Miles?
I like Sanders to actually do a little better than he did last year. I think that with you guys said with the RPOs, I think Hurts is only going to help him, in that Baltimore mold. I think with the offensive line maybe being healthy this year, that it'll definitely improve. And I also think that, this coaching staff is not going to give him 10 carries a game and give Boston Scott less. I think if he gets that 15, 17, 20 carries a game, he's going to do well. And the fact that Jalen Hurts can actually hit him on a wide open wheel route, and Carson Wentz couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, is also going to help because he might actually, pile in some receiving touchdowns on top of it. So I think he was running back 25 or around that spot last year. I think he definitely he has at least running back 2. He's at least running back 2 with running back 1, low running back 1 upside for me.
Yeah, I'd like to have him as my RB2. He's high end RB2. Who's definitely. I don't think he's has the upside of a top 5 guy, but he's definitely going to have some RB1 week. So I would absolutely
RB15.
RB15. That's about fair. That's
that's
high end RB2. Have some RB1 weeks, but not somebody that I want to rely as my first running back. And since Barkley's all good to go now, Jake, we'll go back to you. Are you buying low on Jalen Reagor?
1,000%. I will buy low on everybody from last year's, that like from the Raegers to everybody like that, just because it's the rookie with the no training camp. It's the fact that I love how everybody's gaga for Reagor and his talent in the preseason, and then the entire offense, including, as you mentioned, Carson Wentz flounders. And all of a sudden everybody's like, they need another wide receiver next year. They need an alpha. They need a number 1. Blah. Okay, what happened? Jalen Reagor's done for after his rookie season. So yeah. Give me all the Jalen Reagor. I will take it 1,000%.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, Jake said it perfectly. I mean, he had some injury concerns last year, and the fact that Justin Jefferson had the rookie year he had, you would think that Jalen Reagor was just some jag like trash, but he's still a first round receiver. He's going to be if we don't draft a receiver, he's going to be the number 1 in that offense. And like I said with Miles, the fact that Jalen Hurts is actually going to be able to hit him over the middle and let him have some yak, and Carson Wentz couldn't, is definitely going to do wonders for him.
Let me ask you guys this: if they draft a wide receiver at 6, Jamar Chase or somebody along those lines, does that change anything for you with Reagor?
No.
And that'd be one of the better duos.
All right. Well, let me ask you guys. This is a personal question because I just got offered a trade. I was offered Jalen Reagor for my AJ Dillon.
Oh, Reagor all day.
Reagor, 100% Reagor.
Okay. Even half-point PPR?
Yep. Everything.
Okay. Maybe. There we go. There's a guy, Danny, another Eagles fan, saying he's on the Reagor train. So maybe I'll accept a live trade during the show. We'll see about that. But we will move along to the Dallas Cowboys. The one thing that Eagles and Giants fans can agree on is how much we hate the Cowboys. But that being said, Dan, we're going to start with you on this one. Do you believe that Zeke is done?
So what are we classifying done as? Done as
okay. So what would you do with him in redraft? What would you do with him in Dynasty?
In Dynasty, I would have traded him last year.
Well, that's not the question. So what are you doing with him now if you have him?
I am trading him as soon as possible if I have him. I think that he is done. In fact, like being a top 3 like redraft running back, I think he's done. I think that he just has too much mileage on his tires. We like we said, touched on before with the COVID, we don't know what that's going to affect with him. And to be completely honest, at the end of last year, Tony Pollard was outplaying him. He just was. He was more explosive. The offense was doing better. I mean, Dak coming back is going to help him, but I just think that Zeke's best years are behind him personally, and I would be looking to get rid of him at the earliest opportunity for whatever I could get.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
And I'll be the one happy to buy him everywhere. I have him as RB6 in redraft. Like the fact was he was top 3 running back through the first 5 games with Dak. And after Dak went downhill and Tony Pollard outplayed him, but he was also hurt. If you look at the game he took off and came back the very next week, he said he wasn't 100%. He comes back the next week, one of his 2 100-yard games in the second half of the season. And his 200-yard rushing games were actually without Dak. He actually never topped 100 rushing yards with Dak, but he was getting the passing game work and he was scoring touchdowns in that offense. But I am taking his RB6, 7, 8 in that same range. If you want to push him down 2 or 3 spots and say, oh, he's RB9, I'm not going to be like, oh, I have him RB6. You're crazy. I think he's clearly behind the top tier and the second tier. Like, I put Derrick Henry kind of in his own tier. I think it's like the big 3 or 4, and then Derrick Henry kind of sitting there, and Alvin Kamara, depending on what happens. So I would say McCaffrey, Cook, Barkley, and then Kamara and Henry together, and then Zeke starts that next group. So if you want to wait and not make that, like that's probably like why I don't want to draft number 7 next year, because I would take Adams, the big 5 running backs, and I wouldn't want to take that first Zeke pick. So again, his days as being in that group are gone. I do agree with you on that, Dan, but I don't think he's toast. I don't think he's done.
Yeah, and I kind of echo what both you guys said. Redraft, I have no problem taking him after that. The 5, 6 guys, that are obviously ahead of him. I would be looking to sell him in Dynasty, but I'm the type of player I would rather sell a year too early than too late. I'm not saying I would sell low on Zeke, but if you can get close to what you feel his value is, I would not hesitate. Like you said, getting Dak back is definitely going to help out. He averaged 23 points per game with Dak versus 12 points per game without. And then another thing people aren't thinking about too, he had COVID last year. We don't know if that had any kind of long lingering effects with him as well on his production for the year. So we're all still kind of up in the air with how this affects people long term, especially athletes. He is going into his 6th season. He had 240 carries at least every single season and over 300 3 times. So I do worry that sooner than later he is going to start to wear down. No problem in redraft Dynasty. If you can get out from under him for fair value, I would do it. Jake, I already know this question because I know your personal feelings about Amari Cooper. Which wide receiver would you want in Dallas, Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb? And their ADPs right now. Redraft for Amari Cooper is wide receiver 16. Lamb is wide receiver 20. And Dynasty, Cooper is wide receiver 11, and Lamb is wide receiver 5.
Yeah, see, and Dynasty, that makes sense for both of them. I did a little thing on Dak Prescott signing and the impact of with and without Dak Prescott of what Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup look like, and actually including the tight end situation with Blake Jarwin / Dalton Schultz, obviously. But yeah, in redraft, I will say this, my feelings about Amari Cooper, but I said Amari Cooper with Dak is a different Amari Cooper. He wasn't, I always say pre-Cooper or pre-Dak and then post-Dak. So, that's 2 different Coopers. His consistency has been much better, and Dak Prescott does love Amari Cooper. So I'm still taking him in a redraft. I would take Lamb in Dynasty, but it wouldn't be as big as a gap as it looks to be, like you said, in the ADP. I think it's almost Lamb just a spit in front of him. I don't think it should be that many spots.
Yeah,
well, Cooper's not 30.
I know. Cooper's only 26, and like you said, since he's gotten to Dallas, he's been a lot more consistent. He only had 3 games this year under 10 points, even with Andy Dalton and everybody else that they threw at quarterback, and only one of those games was with Dak. So I think it would have been a different story. He's still got the upside. Finally, Amari Cooper has a safe floor. I honestly, whoever I can get later is who I would take between the 2. I like both of them. Obviously, you'd prefer Lamb in Dynasty because he's a few years younger, but I absolutely love both of these guys, as much as it hurts me to say that I like Cowboys, but I think both of these guys are going to go off next year. Dan?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Jake. I think Cooper with Dak is just a different player altogether. I think, and I've seen a lot of people acting like Cooper is like this ancient guy at receiver, but he's not old at all.
26 years old.
Yeah. You would think he's like 35 or something with the way some people are talking about him, and just not true. I think with Dak being back there, I think he's going to do really well. So with redraft, I would take Cooper at that ADP, and Dynasty, I would like Lamb, especially if Michael Gallup, doesn't stick around, then Lamb's going to be fantastic and slotting into that number 2 role full time.
Now, Jake, what does Barkley think? Which wide receiver would Barkley rather have?
Oh, she 100% agrees. 100%. And also the fact that Dak does not seem to have a lot of connection with Gallup when Lamb came into the fold. If you look at those first 5 games, and especially like just, the air yards were there, but became a lot more touchdown and big play reliant. Oh, by the way, no Taylor. Taylor's in the group with Ezekiel Elliott for your chat window there.
Yeah.
No Taylor. Yeah. Taylor's in that tier with Ezekiel Elliott and that next. So that third tier after. No, I don't think Taylor deserves to be with the Henry and Kamara just yet.
Dynasty-wise, where would you rank Taylor off the top of your head?
I would take him before Zeke in Dynasty.
Yeah,
100%. I was a Taylor guy. So let me make that clear to the person asking. It's like people were like, I can't pass catch, Big Ten, blah, blah. I actually asked him at the combine. I said, what's your most underrated skill that you want people to know about? He's like, that everybody assumes that we can't pass catch coming from the Big Ten. So I said, yeah, good. I agree with you. I agree with you, player Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I agree with you about your skills that you know better than I do.
Were you supposed to go to the combine again this year?
Yeah, we should have been there. Yeah, right now-ish.
Yeah.
Sometime.
How was that? That had to be awesome going to the combine and watching it.
It's more fun talking to the players.
Yeah.
Actually, for somebody who mentioned Fulgham earlier, that's why I was on Fulgham. I sat with Fulgham for 15 minutes at the combine because nobody wanted to talk to him because ODU.
Yeah. We Dan was a big Dan nicknamed him Fogeltron, so that's our guy Sean.
I have not given up on Fulgham yet.
No, the problem is what I said. Like I said, the opportunity, the volume shares. I had them. I had a lot of people in my waiver column pick them up and were smart, but I was the first one to say, like, I know he's going to lose as soon as the defenses start giving him number 1 treatment, which is exactly what happened. He's not equipped for it. I love Travis Fulgham, but he's an NFL 2/3. So he's just not a number 1. And that's not everybody can be. I know it sounds mean to say, but not every player is skilled enough to be a number 1.
All right. That's how I feel about Sterling Shepard. I think he's an NFL 2 or 3. He's not going to be the alpha guy. I like him on our team as a Giants fan, but I really don't want him in fantasy, to be honest with you. We'll move on to Dak Prescott, and Dan, we'll start with you on this one. Where do you rank him in Dynasty?
I have him as number 6 in my rankings. I think
who's ahead of him?
Let me pull it up real quick. Ahead of him for me is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, and Deshaun Watson.
All right. Jake, what about you? Okay, Dan, I'm sorry.
No, I think that with coming back from the injury, I know he'll be fantastic, and I want to see like what he looks like, coming back full time. I mean, not 6 isn't like terrible. I just like the quarterbacks above him more.
Jake, where do you have him in Dynasty?
Fifth.
Hold on.
Take out Justin Herbert and swap Deshaun Watson for Lamar Jackson. And then I have the other 3. I have the same other 3.
I would put him at...
Did I do that? Just too much math?
I was told there would be no math. So.
Welcome, Jake. You can't do that.
Let me count my turn. No. I'd put him right in that range, too. I feel like I have him at 4, but I could easily swap him to 5 with Watson. I would take, if I was in a startup today, I would take Allen, Mahomes, and Kyler before him. And I actually took Deshaun Watson over Dak, when we do that draft, Dan, like a month ago, and I regret it. I wish I would have taken Dak over Watson.
That's the thing. So what happens if Deshaun Watson ends up on any other team, or actually even if he's back with Houston, that's not even a great thing. So I think that Deshaun Watson's uncertainty is, I think, the problem right now. If you told me Deshaun Watson would end up on somewhere like the Colts, which obviously not going to happen right now, but like that, that would swing everything. By the way, Marty Dobbins, but pretend I told a different answer to everybody you want to sell him to. Here, hold on. Here, Marty. Swift is my answer. So now cut that out and then take that to your league and show them that I said Swift. So you really know it's Dobbins, and then you can get more trade value for Swift.
And then I'm going to clip the other part and then tell everybody else and then screw Marty over. But I wouldn't do that. Marty joined my home league this year, so it's been fun.
Yeah, about that Deshaun Watson regret, I've seen the rest of your team. You should regret a lot more than Deshaun Watson.
All right, Dan, we'll see about that. I'm not overpaying for Laviska Shenault, no matter how much you want to say.
You're not, but you definitely are.
Well, Gerson has a question for Dynasty. Lawrence or Herbert?
Lawrence.
Herbert.
I'm gonna go the man with the luscious hair. Would go with T-Law on that one. I think. If Herbert wasn't to cut his hair, yeah.
And if I miss, that's fine. But again, this would be the entire world miss, and the Jaguars did something wrong. Trevor Lawrence can go out there and throw for 5,000 yards. And oh, by the way, he can throw in another 500 rushing yards on top of it. Like he should be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe not as a rookie, but in year 2 plus, he should be. Obviously, that's the uncertainty in the gameplay. And if you want to go Herbert, because we've seen Herbert, I understand that argument all the time. Like, yeah, if you want to say, I've seen Justin Jefferson versus Jalen Reagor from before. We just saw Justin Jefferson already put up wide receiver 1 number, so why would you take Reagor? Like, I see all these arguments all the time. So I get it, but I'm going Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm going Lawrence. Even it's close. I wouldn't mind Herbert as well, like you said, but I think Lawrence has a higher upside.
That's a good problem to have, put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, yeah.
We are running a little long on time, so I think we're going to skip over the one player that we're fading and targeting from the division, but we'll go over the under-the-radar rookies. Jake, we'll start with you. Who are some under-the-radar rookies that you like this year for fantasy purposes that could, if they're placed in the right situation, could contribute this year?
So I'll give you 2. One is, I actually think Michael Carter's better than Williams. A lot of people like Williams, and I think that Michael Carter has more to offer. Now, Michael Carter is not a 20. What did you say? Dan?
Don't say that so loud. I'm trying to get Michael Carter cheap.
There you go. Well, I will say this. Michael Carter's not a 20-touch guy. He's not. And if anybody thinks that's the case, you're wrong. And this is somebody likes Michael Carter. So his landing situation is going to depend. And that's why when you said the question, like depending on their landing spot, like if he gets buried or if he gets put in a situation where it's just not great, like I think I'm currently in the middle. I would be at the combine right now. I'm currently in the middle of watching a lot of the film to go back again. I feel that like right now, as of today, I feel he fits zone blocking a little bit better, but I want to watch a little bit more to know. But I'll give you the other one, and similar is so Javian Hawkins from Louisville, not a 20-touch guy, not the number 1 of an NFL team. So for everybody out there, like 5'9", lucky to hit 200 pounds. But if you're looking for like the Tariq Cohen, who, by the way, he makes a couple runs between the tackles that you don't think he can make. I'll give you another one, Philip Lindsay. Like nobody thought Philip Lindsay could run between the tackles. I think Hawkins brings some of that. Again, he's not ever going to touch the ball 20 times. He might not even ever touch it 15, but nobody's talking about him, and you can find him. He'll probably go late in the draft, but you can find him on the right team. A Nyheim Hines situation would be great for him. I just mentioned Cohen. Those type of situations where he can hover around 8 to 10 touches, more in the passing game, half point, full point PPR is somebody to watch on his landing spot. Carter, I am going to be pins and needles depending on where he lands. I want him to land in a great situation. I want him to be part of a timeshare. And obviously, a lot of times we don't say timeshares, but he needs to be in a timeshare. Don't bury him behind somebody that's getting 18 touches every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, I know you. As soon as I saw Dan's face light up, as soon as you said that, he's been on my for a while.
By the way, I am only a UNC fan of basketball. I'm a Notre Dame fan of football. Again, blame my cousin for that. That's my cousin's fault.
Yeah, I'm sure you get. Well, I'm a Duke fan in both, and it's not fun being a Duke fan in football. I actually thought about trying to find a college football team this year so I can actually enjoy it a little more.
Because Alabama is kind of good. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard they're all right. Maybe it would just put the trifecta if I was an Alabama fan, a Duke fan, and a Yankees fan. Like everybody would just hate all my teams. But Nick Saban.
Who's your basketball team?
Professional.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm a Knicks fan. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something like the Spurs. Then I would have been like, yeah. Or like the Lakers. Be like, yeah, you're just all over the map with homers.
No, I'm a unfortunately a long-suffering Knicks fan. You can never call me a bandwagon Knicks fan. It was good when I was younger in the early 90s with the Larry Johnsons and stuff like that, but it's been a long time since that was the case.
Big mama.
Oh yeah. Dan.
I'm going to go with Jarrett Patterson out of Buffalo. I think a lot of the same qualities that Jake mentioned in Hawkins is something I like in Patterson. He has really good, center of gravity. He's tough to bring down. A lot of people are souring on him a little bit because he had no catches last year. He wasn't even targeted once. But I think he had some decent hands. So I think he'd be really good as that change of pace kind of guy for a team. 5'9", I think he's 195. So somewhere in the he's definitely not as shifty as Darren Sproles. So that's a bet, but in that stature and that kind of role, I think would be good for him.
Yeah,
absolutely. Barkley have any under the radar rookies?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
The wide receiver. No, I do have another one, but I wasn't gonna say it. I was just gonna type. I don't know how to say his damn last name. I've been trying to find it. The Abba Herber Weaver Waba dude from wide receiver. Do you know how to pronounce it?
Dan, do you? I'm not a college guy. Dan's a college guy, so
I'm gonna pull it back up and see.
I do not.
You know who I'm talking about? Hold on.
I do not.
I'm gonna spell his name for you and see if you know how to spell
I'm sure I won't.
I gotta go to my worksheet to find this.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll bring up mine real quick. I really like Brevin Jordan a lot. Kyle Pitts is getting all the talk. Brevin Jordan's a freak too. He's a mismatch nightmare. He's fast. He's athletic. He's great after the catch. He'd be the easy tight end one in my opinion in this draft class. Even though I can't pronounce Freiermuth. Is that how you say his name? Something like that. There's a lot of people that like him.
Freiermuth.
No, yeah, I can't. I don't watch college.
Can I post something in the chat?
So you can. Can you? Are you able to?
Okay. I can put it in the private chat here.
Okay, put it in the private chat real quick, and we'll see.
You tell me how you would say his name. There you go.
What? I made her be.
Yeah. What is that right?
Imator Hebe.
Is that right?
Imator Hebe.
Yeah, from Illinois. You obviously know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not a college guy, so I'm not the one to ask.
So the B is silent. So it's not Imator Hebe.
I think the first B is silent. Yeah, it's Imator Hebe.
Yeah. So there you go. You learned something on the show.
Go watch The Kid from Illinois. Put it that way. That's what I'll tell you. Go watch.
Just look for the guy that looks like somebody's cat walked across the keyboard, and that's who Jake's talking about.
The name doesn't fit on the back of the jersey.
All right, exactly. I could post it in the chat real quick.
I'm trying to find an official. So at Tariq Cohen, I actually found a clip of his mom saying his name to find out. Remember people were calling him Tarek out of college?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nope, found a clip. His mom called him Tariq. That's his name.
Well, he's from. I think he was at A&T when I was at UNC Greensboro, so I knew of him before he became big. But we will. We got one last thing.
Patrick Ewing's on TV. Go ahead.
He's my favorite NBA player of all time. I do think, although we weren't planning on doing this, we'll do it real quick. When we did our old show that didn't have time for us to come on yet, but we did Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Who is the GOAT?
Michael Jordan. So
thank you.
I will say if anybody can push him, LeBron James.
You're a Bulls fan. I shouldn't even ask you the question.
No. Here's the thing is here's what I'll come down to the difference, and I'll say so. LeBron has the physicality that could give Michael Jordan problems. Where it comes down to for me is actually drive. When Michael Jordan wanted to score, there was nothing you could do. Period. Nothing. If he wanted to score, he was going to score. LeBron just never had that. Like he had little spurts, but he just doesn't have that. If Michael Jordan wants to score 50, that's why I was trying to stay away from killer instinct because that's another cliche term. But that's kind of what I'm trying to describe. So hey, Mike, I said he pronounced Freiermuth properly. At least I already told him. But
I've been trying Jordan, for like weeks, and I haven't been able to say that.
It's Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
Right.
It's not
saying that LeBron is terrible by any means.
Right.
But yeah. And LeBron, a lot of time, the criticism that he gets, he does make the right basketball play, but Jordan wanted to make the play to win. So, but that's here nor there.
I don't know if anybody's ever tried the up and under, but I do not know how Michael Jordan stays in the air for as long as he did. Like it's impossible. I know I'm white, and I can't jump, but I mean at the same time.
Yeah, we're at least lucky enough to say that we watch both Jordan and LeBron play. So not many will be able to say that. But real quick, Jake, thank you for coming on with us tonight. It was a lot of fun, even though, we got off on a tangent talking about chicken from different places and things of that nature. But that's what makes these things fun. We do always finish up. What is that?
He's got goat on his butt. I didn't even realize he had goat on his butt.
Hey, we got to make a list, so I was very happy about that. Real quick, we do always ask our guests, what is a interesting thing that the fantasy community does not know about you?
Doesn't know about me?
Yes.
I feel like I've told every single story there is about me.
That's why we ask it. So you got to dig deep and come up with something that
that doesn't. I'm trying. All right, I'll give you one because I've told the first thing that comes to mind is like the Tony Kornheiser story, David Wright and all that. So I'll tell you one I don't think I've ever told is that I played baseball growing up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Played baseball growing up. I started as a third baseman, and speaking of Knobloch, I got skittish at third baseman and moved myself off third base because I had a ball skip up into my hand right here and split my fingers open at the webbing. Oof. And after that, decided I was never playing third base again. No, I moved to second base and then found out that here you want to date people, you want to talk about being old. Found out that I was John Olerud. I was an amazing defensive first baseman with a slap hitting 300 ability. No power to speak of, but I found out I never knew I was amazing third. I'll say it. I'm an amazing defensive first baseman.
There you go. Did you wear the batting helmet?
No, I did not wear the actual batting helmet, though. I will say that.
Nobody's going to know what we're talking about. Anybody that's like 25 and under, I have no clue whatsoever.
Giving them work. You go look up John Olerud. Go look up John Trail. Go look up Abasaba Hubihiwi from Illinois.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jake, we really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Nah, you plugged everything. I mean, just at Olinkid is where I tweet out everything anyway. So everybody can follow me and then block me when they get annoyed with my tweets.
Yeah, that's why we've always got along. We've got the same sarcastic humor, so I appreciate it. And like I said, been a big fan of yours for a long time, so I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. And there's Barkley to say goodbye.
And we'll see you later, Barkley. Thanks for coming on, Barkley. Dan, anything else you want to plug?
Not really plug. I just wanted to point out this has to be the first podcast in the history of the world where Josh Imatabebe and John Olerud were mentioned in the same podcast.
That is a very good point. Has to be. Absolutely. Well, you could find Dan at EagleDanFF on Twitter. You could find Jake at All In Kid. You can find Barkley with Jake on random streams from time to time. Thank you for hopping in, Barkley. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. We have Troy King, who is a Dolphins fan, going over the AFC East. And other than that, everybody, in the wise words of Jackie Moon, everybody love everybody. Have a good one.